I'd like to thank the Grace of Heaven, Virtues of Masters, Grand Predecessor, Transmitters, and all of you for giving me the chance to share this topic today, Tao, the Path to Happiness and Eternity. So there is something that each of us knows about each other and about anyone that we meet on the street across the world, from different, regardless of race, gender, age. What would that be? Food and nature, yeah, but what about something that everybody knows? They don't even receive down, they would know. Something they know about us and that we know about them. They may not be in the temple. Anyone we meet on the street, we should know this about them.
They have a soul.
Not everybody may know that, but yeah, we know that's true. We know that everybody wishes to be happy, right? Like everyone we meet, even animals, all they hope to be is, they want to be happy. All of us want to be happy, okay? So then today we're going to be talking a little bit about how we find happiness.
That's always scary.
So I was hoping that we can go around and share a little bit what happiness means to you. What does happiness look like? Is it what you wish for day to day, how you feel? What makes you feel happy? Anyone want to share? I can go first. When I was younger, I used to pray that my friends and family were happy and healthy. That would make me happy. That's what I used to pray for. So does anybody else have anything? Maybe a car or something that makes them feel happy. Claudia?
Yeah. What makes me happy is if I feel I've wronged someone, that I'm able to ask them for forgiveness or make it right.
Sure, yeah.
It happened to me the other day with a gentleman that is 2 years ago. I wasn't very nice to some gentleman on the bus, and then I saw him and he said, "Wow, no one's ever confessed to me." And he said, "You weren't even an asshole." I said, "No, I was." So anyway, it was really, really nice. So I hold it very strong if I'm not kind to someone, and it hurts me. I can't go on. It stays there until I can resolve it.
Yeah, so you felt happy though, right? After that made you feel happy. Good.
With someone.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, anybody else?
So, I'd like to, your happiness is like you're in good health and you feel that there's something special in the person when you're in good health. Right? And two, what personally, what really makes me happy is if I can do something for someone else and see something, a little change in that person and that person feel appreciated for the help that I do.
Yeah, so your happiness comes from making someone else happy? Yeah, that's a good one. Anybody else?
If you do not receive any bad news, then I...
Right, he said, so not receiving bad news, that makes him happy. Yeah, that's a good one. What about young people? What makes you guys happy?
Being with family and
Being with family and friends, and them being happy too. Yeah. Anything else?
Sleep.
Good grades, sleep. Anything else?
I don't want to sound like I'm very lofty, but wishing for peace and harmony in the world. And I have something special for myself. Happiness for me now is that to maintain the cool and also the unperturbed mind whenever something happens. I'm not going to get angry over anything at all.
That's good. That's a good one. That's a little bit deeper than what you would say someone that you find outside. If you ask, someone who does not cultivate, what their answer would be. Probably money or love or, a new car, a good job, lots of money, right? So I think everyone here has a different level of happiness than, someone that does not cultivate, which is very good. So I have this quote that I saw on TV that I really liked. It says, "I feel like people get lost when they think of happiness as a destination. We always think that someday we'll be happy, when we get that car or that job or that person in our lives who will fix everything. But happiness is a mood and it's a condition, not a destination. It's like being tired or hungry. It's not permanent, and it comes and goes, and that's okay. And if people would think that way, they'd find happiness a lot more often." And for me, I think this is a really good good quote, because then you sometimes think, oh, I can't wait to be happy one day when I do something, I reach that destination. But happiness this quote is correct. It's like it comes and goes, right? So everything that we were talking about, what makes us happy, except for maybe Virginia's answer, was all temporary happiness, a mood, something that makes you happy for a little while, maybe a few days, maybe a few minutes, right? Yeah. So to me, I didn't really find that much information on this topic because it's very, an opinion type topic. Right. So for the way I kind of analyzed it was that there's two levels of happiness. The first one, I think, is I would call conditional happiness. Our happiness comes from some external factor. For example, my family and friends are healthy, therefore I am happy. Or I have my health, therefore I'm happy. But all of these things are temporary. When you buy a new car, you get a new job, that happiness will wear off eventually, maybe a few years later, but it still wears off eventually. So I have a video. So everybody knows Steve Jobs, right? His last words before he passed away.
I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. Woz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20.
I have come to the pinnacle of success in business. In the eyes of others, my life has been the symbol of success. However, apart from work, I have little joy. Finally, my wealth is simply a fact to which I am accustomed. At this time, lying on the hospital bed and remembering all my life, I realized that all the accolades and riches of which I was once so proud have become insignificant with my imminent death. In the dark, when I look at green lights of the equipment for artificial respiration and feel the buzz of their mechanical sounds, I can feel the breath of my approaching death looming over me. Only now do I understand that once you accumulate enough money for the rest of your life, you have to pursue objectives that are not related to wealth. It should be something more important. For example, stories of love, art, dreams of my childhood. No, stop pursuing wealth. It can only make a person into a twisted being, just like me. God has made us one way. We can feel the love in the heart of each of us, and not illusions built by fame or money, like I made in my life. I cannot take them with me. I can only take with me the memories that were strengthened by love. This is the true wealth that will follow you, will accompany you. He will give strength and light to go ahead. Love can travel thousands of miles, and so life has no limits. Move to where you want to go. Strive to reach the goals you want to achieve. Everything is in your heart and in your hands. What is the world's most expensive bed? The hospital bed. If you have money, you can hire someone to drive your car, but you cannot hire someone to take your illness that is killing you. Material things lost can be found, but one thing you can never find once you have lost it is life. Whatever stage of life, where we are right now, at the end we will have to face the day when the curtain falls. Please treasure your family love for your spouse, love for your friends, treat everyone well, and stay friendly with your neighbors.
So a few minutes after he had said this, he passed away. So I think that really shows, how temporary everything is in this world. Just like we were saying, if you find anyone who doesn't cultivate and you ask them what made them happy, I think the only level of happiness that they would understand would be conditional happiness. The happiness of, those material things that make them feel happy. But then as cultivators, we know that there's really a deeper level, right? So I call it everlasting happiness. I don't know if you guys there's a different name for it. Yeah, so it's like a happiness that doesn't come and go based on something else. It's something that you feel all the time, if we can get to that level. A happiness that you feel 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, something that even when you pass away, you still feel it. So to me, this is what we should strive for, not just that conditional happiness. So how do we get everlasting happiness? It comes only from cultivating Tao. By cultivating Tao and we can get to that level, then happiness will be, an eternal happiness, something that we feel all the time. And obviously, I don't think it's very easy, otherwise everybody would be happy all the time. So it's up to us to do our best to get to that next level of happiness. So It was a little bit tough to find material on happiness because it's a very subjective thing. But I found that in this book, Holy Teacher wrote a scripture, and he talks about happiness and cultivating Tao. And he had a poem, and so I wanted to share just a few of the lines from the scripture in the poem. So the first one, Eric, do you want to read it?
Sure. Understand that life is not a constant, and we will find happiness in cultivating Tao.
So the first line was that, and it basically is telling us that nothing is constant. So if we can understand that, that's the first step to reaching that level of happiness. And then once we realize that, on some level, even if we don't consciously realize it, is that we make a decision that we want to cultivate Tao to find everlasting happiness. Number 2. Vivian, you want to read the second line?
Concentrate on devoting our efforts to this aspiration, and we will find happiness in cultivating Tao.
So the aspiration is the cultivating Tao. So the desire, determination to cultivate to find that happiness. Number 3, you want to read?
Cherish this very moment, and we will find happiness in cultivating Tao.
Right, so this is saying, we should cherish every moment of our lives, cherish our health and our youth. A lot of people say, I'll cultivate when I'm older, when my kids are older. But when we're older, will we still have our health and our youth? No, because it's temporary, right? So by the time that we think we are ready to cultivate, we have already lost so much time. So we need to really cherish the moment and cherish this opportunity that we are able to cultivate. And I think on a deeper meaning level, this really is saying cherish that we all have our Buddha nature to guide us. So if we can, really embrace our true nature and do all these things that Buddhas are really guiding us to do, then that's how we find our everlasting happiness. Does somebody else want to read? Guy, you want to read?
Throw ourselves into the truth and Tao, and we will find happiness in cultivating Tao.
Right. So, it's very easy to lose ourselves in the world. There's a lot of, experiences and external things that may help us get lost a little bit. But if we embrace all this Tao teachings and all of these good things in our life, then we'll always be on the correct path, and the Buddhas will guide us, right, to find this happiness in cultivating Tao. Jill, do you want to read?
Because you find happiness in cultivating Tao, there are hearts that more rich. To understand all of this one thing, but to do it happily and sincerely, that is rare. You find true happiness in cultivating this.
Thank you. So the first few lines, they were a poem, part of a poem, so I extracted pieces of it. But this was Buddha's explaining how we find this happiness and when we cultivate Tao. When he says rich, he doesn't mean, money rich. Whereas he's saying like rich in virtues, wealthy in virtues. And then he says, if we understand that, that's one level of happiness. But how do we get to the next level, which is being able to do it? So our actions and understanding it should really be balanced and equal. In that case, if we're able to do that perfectly, then that's how we find the true happiness. So even if we are wealthy on the outside, we dress nicely, but our hearts are poor, poor as in we don't have those kind of virtues, then that's not happiness either, right? Because that's not everlasting. When you have a happy heart and happy life, then that's how you find everlasting happiness. So also in this book is the elixir of life. So can you guys pass this out? I made a copy if anyone wants it. If you don't, that's okay. But we read this a lot in all the other classes as well. And the elixir of life, Holy Teachers calls it like a prescription. So if we follow this 12 tablets we need for our physical and spiritual health, then this is how we can really find happiness and return back to permanent heaven. So is there enough? You need more? Oh. We can make extra copies if we need to. So I was hoping that we could read it. By doing these 12 steps, we're able to return back to permanent heaven and find everlasting happiness, okay? So, number 1. Phoebe, you want to read?
Feelings of parents, soften our hearts, be courteous to others,
Good. So Buddhas often say that, the first step to cultivating Tao is being filial to our parents. If our parents are happy, then we will also be happy, because we want to take care of them. We want them to be having a good life. Number 2. Virginia, you want to?
Refrain from bias or skilled thoughts. Harbor no anger in the heart. Don't shun responsibilities. Be fair and just without ego. Meaning be impartial and selfless.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions? If you have any questions during the 12, then we can stop and talk about it, or if you have any comments. Okay. Number 3.
Look for words, chaos, mind, be aware of not being involved in agreements. Life passes on, waiting for no one. Maintain constant quietude and cherish every second.
Thank you. So I think the be aware and do not be involved in arguments is an interesting one, because it talks about, maybe 2 people are having a disagreement, and then I decide to get involved in it, and then it becomes my problem too. So if we can stay out of these problems and try to look at everything with a calm mind, then we don't get upset, or we don't get, frustrated as easily. So if we can always maintain that calm heart and mind, then we won't ever get too excited one way or the other, right? Number 4.
Take good care of our health, hold onto our proper mind, maintain a high moral standard, widely bring people to Tao truth.
Yeah. So, it's one thing that we know happiness. Now that we know there's, 2 kinds of happiness, being able to share with other people and bring them in so that they can also find everlasting happiness.
Be able to enjoy solitude and loneliness. Be able to resist temptation. Take life's ups and downs easy. See through life's ups and downs. Listen. Learn to be quiet and silent.
So when they say silent and lonely, I don't think they really mean be by yourself all the time. It really means be one with your true nature, with your Buddha nature, and then be able to... Because, when we pass away, when we go back to heaven, we can't bring everyone with us. This is a path that we have to take by ourselves. So to be able to do these, be independent and depend on yourselves, that's how we find true happiness, right? Because we were talking about how conditional happiness is based on some external factor. So if our happiness is dependent on other people, will we ever truly be everlasting happy? Probably not, right? Okay.
Yeah, it also implies 中庸.
Yeah. You don't want to be too extreme, too happy, overly excited, or then too depressed and overly, upset all the time. We want to be perfectly content, and I think that's what everlasting happiness is. It's not like constant joy of having to smile all the time, but it's being comfortable with where you are in that moment.
Learn to be quiet and silent.
It's talking about, being able to be calm, right? So I think that's what it's saying is when we cultivate, we don't want to be talking all the time and using all of our energy for all these things, but we should be able to be silent and calm and not feel lonely while we're silent and by ourselves. I don't know if the lecturers want to add on to that.
Really maintain our inner mind, it's our inner. We have to be calm, serene, and tranquil. Okay, that's really what we have to learn. In other words, don't let the external influence your mind. Okay, external environment, 6 senses, even your mind too. Okay, don't distracting mind, thoughts or delusional thoughts. That we have to learn to seek that inner, we call it silence or calm or peace. Maybe that's a better term. Inner peace, which is our Buddha nature. So we have to have that, state of mind, quote unquote. We call it state of mind, right? Really, not the 6 consciousness, okay? Not the mental, not the thought or subconscious, whatever, okay? But it's from your Buddha nature. Okay, that's really important. And once you do that, everything you see will be serene, no matter how chaotic the outside world is. Get it? So that's the silence. That's the tranquility, the serenity. Okay, that's what really.
Yeah. Thank you. Kai, do you want to read this one?
Which one? Number 6?
Yeah.
Okay, it is always better to forget to remember. It is also better to let go of things than to hold back. Gratitude is better than complaint. Getting up to practice what we choose is better than just sitting and thinking.
Right. So if we constantly hold grudges against people that do us wrong, or we constantly think about all the things, sometimes when you're married, you constantly bring up in fights like things from the past, right? So then you never move on from it. But if you can let all of those negative things go, then you won't feel upset as much, right? Because then that'll be in the past and stay there, and then we will only be in that moment. So then that's real happiness, is being able to let go of all these negative things and only feel the positive things. And only remember the good things that other people do. Number 7.
Put aside antagonism. Helping each other increases life and virtue. Nurture harmony at heart. Unite for the sake of heaven.
Yeah, so I think this really means if we can look at the bigger picture, instead of always looking at people's flaws, just think about the bigger picture. The world is such a big place, and if we can put aside all of our anger or frustrations, and for the sake of heaven and for our Buddha natures, and to return back to heaven, let go of all of these bad things, then that is how we find happiness, right? Anyone want to add anything for that? Okay. Number 9.
This definitely, as well as blessing, know where the limits are, and we can fall into the Tao and maintain innocence, purity, first, fleshhood, as well as poison, greed, anger, and purity.
Thank you. So I think it also is talking about if we are aware of the things that we don't do perfectly, and we can get rid of all of these things, external, negative things like the poisons, the 3 poisons, then that's how we can get to the next level of cultivating.
So can you explain what's the 3 points?
So greed, anger, and fatuity. I think fatuity really means like stubbornness. Is that right?
Stubborn, ignorance.
Yeah.
It's ignorance.
So greed, like, I want to buy the best car, I want to show off, I want all the money. Anger is you get very mad at people, you're angry about a lot of things and you hold it inside. That's not good for our bodies, that's a poison. And then stubbornness or ignorance, like the refusal to let go of things, I would say. I don't know if there's a better way to explain these.
I think the worst ignorance is not to realize the truth and just follow our human heart and be tempted by all the external things that's going to lead us far astray, far from the path.
Right. Yeah, so, if we don't do things according to our Buddha nature, then we easily fall off the path and then get led astray, as you said. So I think that's part of why it's really important to get rid of these 3 poisons. Know the truth and use your wisdom, and to be able to get rid of our greed and our anger it's very difficult, but if we can do that, then that's how we find happiness. Anyone else? Want to read?
Do not ogle at unaccountable, unjustifiable wealth. Eradicate unjust, unrighteous speech. Be a caring and righteous person. Obey universal truth and principles.
Right, so sometimes we see other people who have a very nice car or a big house, and they have all these things that you look at it and you want it. That's greed, and it's, just because they have all these things, does that mean that they're rich in virtues, as we were saying earlier? No, right? Because virtues is something that's different from being wealthy in money. But which one matters more in heaven and to the Buddhas? The virtues, right? Right. So we shouldn't be jealous of other people who have all these nice material things, because one day, if we are able to get to the Buddha level, then they're going to be jealous of us. Okay. You want to read the next one? Ashley?
Learn to look for good in others. Resolve to correct our faults. Be extra vigilant with trivial matters. Purify ourselves in the depth of our heart.
Right. So it's easy to see the negative things in life, the flaws of other people, but then, we look at others with a magnifying glass, but do we ever reflect on ourselves, on the things that we could do better? So if we can look for the good in others and change all of our flaws, then others will also see that we change and they will change too, right? Can you fix that? Thank you. So, any questions or comments? Okay. Number 11?
Derive pleasure from cultivating now, develop character like Forrest J. Be fearless in the face of trials and have an undying aspiration in fulfilling them.
Thank you. So I think this one is also very tough because Buddhas are constantly testing us and putting us through trials. Even now, sometimes you run into a hardship on the street or somebody, an altercation or disaster, anything. That could be a test for us, and if we fail it, then we're just going to keep getting tested. So I think that's actually the hardest part about cultivating, is that being able to use the things we learn at Temple and actually applying it to our daily lives. And for me, I think that's very difficult because it's still easy to get upset. Our hearts are easily, wavered. So if we can get to the level where things don't upset us, and even during tests we can pass them without, any problems, that would be success. Number 12, Carrie?
Develop an appetite for light-flavored food. Establish good habits in life. Make our smiles brighter. Look inward often in introspection.
Yeah, so the Buddha says we should try to eat less heavy foods. One day we're going to have to return to heaven, and if we like to eat too much or anything that is not part of our Buddha nature, I guess you could say, it's going to be one more step harder to return back to permanent heaven. And it's important that we smile a lot, because when we smile a lot, we spread happiness. So, if you see someone on the street who's having a bad day and then they yell at you or snipe at you, does that make us feel good or not good? Not good. Yeah, but when I see someone smiling at me, maybe I'll go smile to someone else, and then you kind of have a chain of happiness that goes on. Even this little thing, that's how we spread, conditional happiness. So even though we talk about how everlasting happiness is really important, but it's also important to spread conditional day-to-day happiness, right? So that's the elixir of life.
Christine, what is the benefit to be a vegetarian?
So being vegetarian, Buddhas are often encouraging us to eat less meat because we want to have less karma. Every time we eat meat or something that goes against our Buddha nature, we create a karma, even if we don't mean to. One day we'll have to pay that karma back, right? So if I'm like, I'll just eat a little piece of meat today, it'll be okay. It's just a little piece, not a whole thing. That's still creating that karma, because if somebody ate a piece of me, I wouldn't let that go, right? Because the next life, they still have to pay it back to me. Yes, Kai?
Well, there are two aspects, right? Some people don't believe killing animals is wrong, right? Quote unquote. So what Christine is saying is that animals also have a sentient being. That's why it's quote unquote wrong, right? Morally wrong. So the second aspect is compassion. Compassion. We show compassion for others, just like we show compassion to each other, or mercy, compassion, love, kindness to each other. We should also treat animals good. Likewise. So right in spread. We don't restrict or limit our love, compassion, etc., to just human beings, but to all beings, sentient beings, because they also have a Buddha nature too. That it all ties back, to all. They all have a Buddha nature. They all have, some kind of, you can say, some kind of consciousness, some kind of consciousness. Animals can feel pain, definitely, right? They can feel happiness and joy too, right? So.
Yeah, just as we were talking about in the first slide, is that not just humans want to be happy, animals want to be happy too. So, yeah, Johnny.
So that proves they have a Buddha nature. Plants, some people say, plants want to be happy. They don't have a Buddha nature. There's no such thing as happiness and sorrow for plants, right?
I would just like to solidify what Dr. Kai said. Does anyone here have like a dog or cat at home? Anybody? Okay. All right. So when you return home, what sort of emotion does that animal give when you return home? Lots of emotion, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So most people, even though you don't have one, and you see like a movie or a commercial, anything, you see a dog waiting at the door or the window, waiting for its owner to come home. So much emotion. How does this animal know that the owner, the master, so to speak, is coming home? Alright, so that is an indication to show that these animals do have a good nature. And then we are eating the other animals that we are taking out of their natural habitat. So we are creating a lot of karma by using it. So we should not be eating any meat. They do have good nature, and we'll be creating lots of karma by eating it. Whether you kill it or not, you participate in the consumption of it. So we're creating karma.
Yeah, Claudia? Yeah.
Oh, I just, if you look at the animals, like you look at the cows and stuff, they're giving, their mothers, they're giving milk to their babies. They're nursing them just like humans nurse. And also, I just also wanted to say about the trees and plants, because I feel that if the mango, we eat a mango, we cut into it with a knife, the tree actually feels it, she quivers, so she feels her fruit to her, the tree. So the plants, there are plants and trees that do feel pain, and they do feel, so giving to give us such beautiful fruit and joy, and I think they give it so freely. I feel the trees also.
Thank you. Yeah.
People who eat meat justify it by saying that in the Bible it was said that we were given dominion over other living species. One, and two, they say that if you kill an animal in a humane way, in a less painful way, it's okay. That's what they say to justify meat eating. I don't know how you all respond to that.
There's no humanity in slaughtering or killing.
No. Well, first of all, that's a misinterpretation of the Bible. If you want to go back even to the earlier, when God created the Garden of Eden, right? What did God say to Adam? Don't eat any animals except that. Don't eat anything except anything that can grow on a tree. Other than and also later on in the Bible it says you can eat anything as long as it doesn't have blood. So what doesn't have blood? Certainly not flesh. Certainly not animals, right? Animals have blood, no? So that's a very narrow view of the Bible. They take one passage, they take one sentence, and they apply it to everything. That's dumb. That's really dumb. I'm going to say it bluntly. That's dumb. That's stupid. Okay? I'm going to say it bluntly. That's stupid. That's not smart. Okay?
There's no such thing.
It's like halal. It's like halal. Muslims used to call it halal. H-A-L-A-L. You guys know what that means? Same thing as kosher. That's we just kill it in the proper way.
The thing is that if you hand the meat and the blood is running, all the meat and the blood never run out.
Yeah, the Bible said that too.
It's just that it stopped running, but there's still blood because just like us humans, our body is made up of what?
Blood, water, meat.
Right? Doesn't make sense.
See, but again, what did the Bible say? Christian, they deal with the Ten Commandments. What is the first one?
Thou shalt not kill.
The second is thou shalt not kill. So how is it that you're going to eat? Are you going to just grab the live thing and just eat it while it's alive? No, they're going to kill it. So you are breaking the Ten Commandments, and the New Testament was written to sort of to make the people who are changing or getting away from what they are, change their or bring their own method or system of Christianity. See, that's what the New Testament is, because most Christians do not want to follow the Old Testament because they don't want the structure or the rules. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for sharing. So just to wrap up, because we only have about 30 seconds left. So So now that we know about conditional happiness and everlasting happiness, it's up to us to help spread happiness. Because people out there may not know about this everlasting happiness. So we should really bring them in and show them how to be happiness in cultivating Tao. And while we're at it, we should also be able to spread happiness conditionally. So we share, we should appreciate all the things that we have so that we don't compare with other people. That's true happiness, the day-to-day happiness. And then, we should also help spread kindness. If we smile every time we go on the bus, we see somebody, even if we don't know them, that could be something, this little good karma that you're planting this seed. So if we smile at them this lifetime, next lifetime they're going to smile at you too. They're going to be happy.
It's very easy. As you pass someone, you say good morning,
Yeah.
and that will bring a smile to the person.
Yeah. But hopefully we bring them all to temple so that we can all return to permanent heaven, so we don't have to come back here. But yeah, guys.
They will smile at you in this lifetime.
Yeah.
So the next time they see you, they will smile.
Exactly. Sometimes we think strangers, especially in New York and the East Coast, it's easy to forget and get lost in all these, fast-paced world. But if we can just spread a little bit of happiness in their day-to-day life, that'll, help you be happy too, right? So then if we can cultivate ourselves to that next level of happiness where we are eternally happy and help spread these day-to-day happinesses, the whole world will be in harmony. Any more questions or comments?
Yeah, the key is to pursue, basically spread happiness. Yeah, so to understand what true happiness is the things that's eternal, not conditioned. Because condition, we should know from the Four Noble Truths, is what?
Temporary.
Anicca, right? Anicca, impermanent, right? So now it doesn't mean that it's quote unquote bad, but you just have to help people wean away from conditioned happiness to eternal happiness.
Yeah.
Guide, I like to say guide, and that's the cultivation part. That's the spreading part. So spreading the true happiness, which is the eternal happiness, which really comes from within, okay, from our Buddha nature. And then once you have that, then everything is fine. Everything's all right. Everything will be happy. You get it? That's true happiness. So it's not subject to conditions.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Depend on external factors, right? So I think if we can practice the day-to-day conditional happiness, that will help us in the long term to reaching everlasting happiness. Right? So it all links together. Yeah.
Yeah, it could go both ways. Actually, initially we do the
Conditional.
first. Then we
It's like the
come
baby
to
steps.
Right, come to then once you have within, then you go out.
Yeah.
Both ways. That's the progression.
Yeah, so we should try to remember to be grateful for all the things that we have, and that will help us eliminate some of the negativity in our lives. Don't compare ourselves to other people, because our happiness and other people's happiness may not be in line, right? So we should just try to do our best to follow our Buddha nature. Our Buddha natures will never guide us wrong. So that way we can eventually get to the level of cultivating Tao happiness. Okay, thank you. If I said anything wrong, I ask for forgiveness and ask the transmitters lecturers to help. Thank you.